the Indiana Fever win the Commissioner's Cup.
Well, what a game for the Indiana Fever. They came up with the victory against the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup.
The Indiana Fever just put the beats on the Minnesota Lynx.
The Fever went on a run. They did not allow the Lynx to score for over 8 minutes.
The Indiana Fever are sipping the sweet nectar of the Commissioner's Cup.
The Indiana Fevers are the only women's champions this season, so everybody can shut it up.
What just happened? The Indiana Fever are your new Commissioner's Cup champions.
That's a no! Congratulations, lady.
And Caitlin Clark's reaction tells you everything you need to know. If you're riding with Caitlin 100%, head to the comments and type 100% right now. This wasn't just a win. This was a message to the entire league. Let's break down how the Fever shocked everyone and what Caitlin really felt watching it unfold.
Congratulations to the Indiana Fever. We are the champions of the 2025 Commissioner's Cup.
What the Indiana Fever just did wasn't just a win, it was a statement. This was a full-blown shockwave across the WNBA.
Without Dewana Bonner, they could still win it all. Without Caitlin Clark, they could still win it all.
And the best part? They did it without their superstar, Caitlin Clark, even touching the court. The Fever walked into hostile territory in Minnesota to face the Lynx, a team sitting firmly above .500, one of the most balanced rosters in the league, and a heavy favorite to take home the Commissioner's Cup.
ESPN did, with the Indiana Fever getting dominated by the Minnesota Lynx.
Contrary to what you may have seen on ESPN's YouTube page, the Fever dominated the Lynx to win the Commissioner's Cup.
In fact, they were so favored that ESPN literally had a live stream scheduled mid-game titled Lynx Dominate Fever to Win Commissioner's Cup.
ESPN posted, I think around the third quarter, at least that's when I was notified about it, that the Lynx dominate the Fever to win the Commissioner's Cup. And I took a screenshot. This is totally my screenshot. So I went and I verified this because I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe that ESPN would have a thumbnail up. It's a placeholder for their upcoming show, and they must have decided that the prediction was that the Lynx were going to win, which, I mean, come on, you guys, did most of us think the Fever would win this? But ESPN, have you heard of an upset?
They already had the narrative written, already had the thumbnails ready. But guess what? The scoreboard told a very different story. Final score:
74-59 was the final, guys. Let's check out this damn box score real quick before we get into how the world feel about this, guys. I am ecstatic right now. Energy is through the roof because you want to know why? Because they just showed the world they could still win it all.
Indiana Fever 74, Minnesota Lynx 59. Not a fluke, not a buzzer beater, not luck. A 15-point win in a title game on the road with the world watching and doubting.
It did not look like the Fever was going to win this game. I mean, they were down by 13 at one point in the beginning of the game. Nobody could sink a bucket. The Lynx weren't even playing that well, but they were definitely not letting the Fever get anything off.
Let's rewind to how it all went down. The game started rough for Indiana. They were down double digits early. Turnovers, missed shots, struggles to create any offensive rhythm. At one point in the first quarter, it genuinely looked like the Fever might get run out of the building.
The Fever went on a run. They did not allow the Lynx to score for over 8 minutes.
But then came the shift, an 18-0 run in the second quarter. That's not a typo. For over 8 straight minutes, the Indiana Fever held the Lynx completely scoreless. The defense was suffocating.
Nafisa Collier was 6 of 18. That was a terrible performance. Kayla McBride, one of them said they stunk it up. They stunk it up.
Kayla McBride, Nafisa Collier, players who usually light up the scoreboard, were completely neutralized. Minnesota couldn't buy a bucket. The Fever didn't just hold the Lynx, they rattled them.
Nafisa Collier was actually held to 12 points. That sounds like an average or a decent game for any normal player, but when it comes to people like Nafisa Collier, who averages over 24 points a game, when you hold those caliber players and those types of post players who get to the line a lot and know how to garner a foul, when you hold them to 12 points, that is saying something.
Nafisa Collier, who averages over 24 points a game, was held to just 12. She missed looks that she normally makes in her sleep. And it wasn't just because she was off. It was because Indiana locked in defensively like never before.
Without Dewana Bonner, they could still win it all. Without Caitlin Clark, they could still win it all.
This wasn't an offensive explosion. It was a gritty defensive war. And Indiana came out swinging. They wanted it more. And it showed. Role players made critical plays. The bench brought energy.
Especially in the beginning, the Indiana Fever looked kind of like chickens with their heads cut off at moments. But, you know, they pulled it together. Stephanie White brought them together. And one thing I do have to say positive about Stephanie White is she makes adjustments.
And head coach Stephanie White made all the right adjustments, especially after that rocky first quarter. But we'll get to that in part 2.
The Indiana Fever win the Commissioner's Cup for the first time.
Without Caitlin Clark, they could still win it all.
Let's not forget the context. This is the first Commissioner's Cup title in franchise history, and they did it without Caitlin Clark, without their best playmaker, without the national spotlight being on their side.
Oh, man. What an upset. Oh, my God. Y'all see the shirt, baby? Fever basketball, man. What an upset. I got to give major props.
This was more than a win. This was the moment the Indiana Fever reminded the WNBA, we're not just Caitlin Clark. We are a team. We're built to compete, and we are here to stay. And trust me, Caitlin Clark felt every second of it.
But tonight, they are partying. I mean, even Caitlin Clark is posting to her Instagram stories, which, if you know Caitlin Clark, she probably has like a moderator posting, most of the time posting stories for her. But no, she was posting like, proud of my girls. She was hopping into the live.
Watching from the sideline, hyping up her teammates, going live with Aaliyah Boston, and proudly posting proud of my girls on Instagram. And later during their celebration, she said what everyone else was thinking.
Caitlin Clark was in her live stream, right? She was in a live stream during their celebration. And she said, oh, man, I know the rest of the league are pissed. No, she said, I know the rest of the league is sick.
I know the rest of the league is sick. No lies detected, because here's the truth. Indiana didn't just beat Minnesota. They exposed every critic who ever said they couldn't win without Caitlin Clark. They didn't just win the Commissioner's Cup. They changed the narrative.
That's a Bell! Congratulations, lady.
If part 1 was about how the Indiana Fever shocked the league, this part is about who made it happen. Because this win wasn't carried by just one player. It was an all-out team effort, led by stars stepping up and role players turning into game changers under pressure.
Natasha Howard, ball. Any bad things I ever said about Natasha Howard, I am sorry. I am sorry. Oh my God, I am so sorry.
Tasha Howard came out on top with 16 points and 12 rebounds. She got a double-double. She was the MVP.
Let's start at the top with Natasha Howard. The heart and soul of this game. She didn't just show up, she took over. Howard finished with 16 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals, earning her the title of Commissioner's Cup MVP.
Y'all see Natasha Howard out there? Did y'all see Natasha Howard out there? MVP?
And that wasn't just a stat sheet MVP. That was a real impact, both ends of the floor, led by example, lock it down type of performance. Howard dominated on defense, particularly in her matchup against Nafisa Collier, who came in averaging over 24 points a game.
Natasha Howard went crazy. You was balling today. 16 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Bro, you played a good game today.
Natasha made her look ordinary. Contested shots, altered drives, smart help defense. It was all there. The kind of defensive showing that reminded everyone why she was once a Defensive Player of the Year.
Natasha Howard, whatever you did before this game, you do before every game. I don't know what you did. It's none of my business. Whatever you did before this game, you make sure you do that before every fucking game, man.
It wasn't flashy. It was fundamentally dominant. And that kind of poise in a championship game, that's leadership. But she wasn't alone.
Sophie Cunningham came away with 13 points.
Sophie, the blonde bomber from 3. Sophie Cunningham found her 3-point shot today, y'all. Sophie is ready now. Sophie Cunningham came off the bench, 13.7 rebounds. She was a plus 18, hit 3 of 5 threes.
Sophie Cunningham lit it up off the bench. The so-called blonde bomber finally found her rhythm again, dropping 13 points on 3 of 5 shooting from deep, with 7 rebounds and a game-high plus 18 plus minus. She brought instant offense, energy, and spacing when the Fever desperately needed it.
The first game with Ari McDonald, she had started her off the bench. She saw Ari McDonald's performance. In the very next game, Ari McDonald started. And the missed bunnies and the missed layups, that's not a coaching thing. That is the Indiana Fever being completely off on their offense.
After weeks of inconsistency and outside noise, yes, including that now infamous Detroit-Cleveland-Philly quote, Sophie backed it up with production.
See, the weird thing about Ari is she's not assisting much. She came away with 1 assist, but she got 3 rebounds. Like 5'6", Ari McDonald got 3 rebounds.
And then came Ari McDonald. She may only be 5 feet 6 inches, but she played like a giant in this one. 12 points on 5 of 6 shooting, including huge buckets that ignited Indiana's second quarter run. Her speed, hustle, and fearlessness completely disrupted the Lynx backcourt.
One of them I thought early on in the game really helped them early, and it's Ari McDonald. Regardless of plus minus, I think at the very start of the game, Ari McDonald was the player that really brought them into it at the start. Like 12 points, no one above 16 points, no one above 16. I thought she was fantastic.
And let's not forget, she was a mid-season pickup, a piece added out of necessity after the Dana Evans situation didn't pan out. Now, she's becoming a core part of this Fever identity, tenacious, unafraid, and clutch.
And Aaliyah Boston had to have big games offensively. Aaliyah Boston was 5 of 15, but she was banging. She was banging down low. They both only had 12 points, but Aaliyah Boston had 6 assists, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block.
Aaliyah Boston, the anchor in the paint, didn't have her cleanest shooting night, but her impact was undeniable. 12 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block.
Aaliyah Boston, 33 minutes, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 12 points. Guess what? Double-double. $500,000 on the line. The hell we talking about?
She was a glue player in every sense, making the right passes, cleaning up on the boards, and showing visible leadership in the fourth quarter when things got tight.
Aaliyah Boston with 12 points, 6 assists, and 11 rebounds. Another double-double.
This wasn't her flashiest game, but it was a professional, composed, playoff-type performance. That's what you need from your franchise cornerstone.
We have Kelsey Mitchell coming away with 12 points.
Kelsey Mitchell shot 6 of 16 and 0 of 5 from 3.
Kelsey Mitchell also chipped in 12 points. Not her most efficient night, but she held her ground and didn't force shots. More importantly, she helped space the floor and draw defensive attention, which opened the game for others like Cunningham and McDonald.
Sydney Colson didn't play that great, but she was a plus 19. 4 assists, 3 points. She was only 1 of 6 shooting, but she did not lose us the lead. She kept things afloat. Just keep things afloat. That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do. This game was won on the defensive end. I still feel like we're playing way too slow, and maybe that's just because we don't have Caitlin. I mean, bro, by God, this game was like 33-28 at halftime. This was a rough game. This was a rough game. That first half was hard to watch.
Even Sydney Colson, who only scored 3 points, made her presence felt. She controlled tempo, brought stability during the Lynx's attempted comeback, and finished with a plus 19 while on the floor. She knew her role. Keep things steady, don't turn it over, and lead vocally. That's what she did.
Well, what a game for the Indiana Fever. I didn't think they were going to win it. I'm sure most of you didn't think they were going to win it, but they came up with the victory against the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup to get that bag. Every single player is going to be getting around 50 to 60K from this game. That's big time money for these WNBA players that don't make that much. Shout out to the Fever for getting the win. That was an ugly game, though. More than it was a Fever win, I feel like it was a Lynx loss. They just played atrocious in that game. Courtney Williams was 4 for 14. Nafisa Collier was 6 for 18 from the field. Those two players were sucky. The entire team was sucky. They didn't even crack 60 points in this game.
Here's the truth. Indiana didn't win this game because someone dropped 30. They didn't win on ISO ball or some one-woman show. They won because everyone did their job and did it with urgency.
The Fever went on a run. They did not allow the Lynx to score for over 8 minutes.
The defense was cohesive. The help rotations were sharp. The rebounding was aggressive. Every loose ball felt like it belonged to Indiana.
Alana Smith, of course, she was almost perfect tonight. She came away with 15 points for the Minnesota Lynx. Courtney Williams came away with 11, and the other top scorer was Napheesa Collier with 12.
And when a shot needed to be made, it was someone, McDonald, Cunningham, Boston, stepping into the moment.
I do want to see this get better. I think that once Caitlin Clark comes back, there will be more of a rhythm. And, you know, you can't say that the Fever would even be in the Commissioner's Cup if it weren't for Caitlin Clark, because that Ari McDonald actually was shooting against the Liberty. She went 5 for Indiana Fever to the Commissioner's Cup in the first place. I was laughing, she deserves some credit there. Mismatch where she would be defending Napheesa Collier, and I mean, you gotta just laugh at it. After that blunder of a comment where she said, "Who wants to go to Cleveland, Detroit, or Philadelphia?" And I mean, she played, and I love the Indiana Fever, but like, is Indiana Fever a destination? So I think she was trying to make up for it with her points on the court.
That's how championships are won. That's how locker rooms bond. That's how momentum is built. You could feel it during the game. This team believed. They weren't playing for highlights. They were playing for each other.
To get that bag, every single player is going to be getting around 50 to 60K from this game. That's big time money for these WNBA players that don't make that much. Shout out to the Fever for getting the win. That was an ugly game, though.
For the moment, for the money, and yes, for the ones who doubted them. And now, they're Commissioner's Cup champions because everyone on this team, starters, bench, vets, young guns, answered the call.
Indiana Fever are the 2025 Commissioner Cup champions, bro. And they beat a team that was over 500 without Caitlin Clark. Natasha Howard showed up and showed out. Let's take a look at some of these clips. Watch some of these clips, bro. My voice gonna be gone.
Indiana turnovers already.
Look at this. Look at this.
Finds it, cutting McDonald, easy deuce.
Beautiful. Nasty.
Howard. Double team, outside, cutting in for 3, yes.
Nasty.
You see that ball movement starting to open.
Gives it up to Howard. 5 on the shot clock. Howard, as Carlton goes down, Howard.
Cooking, baby. We need not say no more. We need not say no more. Natasha Howard versus Minnesota, 16-12, double-double. Double-double machines, bro. Double-double machines, belt to ass. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. I want to hear nothing from no damn haters the rest of the year, bro.
Up next, in part 3, we get into the one name everyone was watching, even from the sidelines. Caitlin Clark, and how her reaction said more than words ever could. Let me know when you're ready to continue.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
So let's put this in perspective. The Indiana Fever just made history. Their first ever Commissioner's Cup title, a dominant win over a top-tier team, and they did it without Caitlin Clark on the court.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. She's so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
But make no mistake, her presence, her leadership, and her reaction were part of every second of it. This wasn't just a win for the record books. This was a shift in the narrative. No more, can they win without Caitlin?
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
Now it's, what happens when she's back and this team is fully clicking? And to every analyst, every network, every thumbnail that already counted this team out, you got your answer.
Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball. She's pulling in crazy viewership numbers.
The Fever aren't just building around a star. They're building a system, a culture, a team that's hungry, dangerous, and ready to shake up the league. And Caitlin Clark, she's not just watching it happen, she's helping shape it.
She's my role model. I really look up to her. Why do you like Caitlin?
She's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person, and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
If you believe in this team and you ride for Caitlin Clark, let them hear it. Drop 100% in the comments, because this wasn't just a win, it was a warning.